Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today on the channel, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful short. Okay, so I'll be showing the process from cutting to sewing. All right. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two. Sorry. So right now I'm just ruling out this line as my starting point. Okay. So go ahead and fold your fabric into two, whatever fabric you're working with. All right. So I'm going to start my measurement from that point. So the next thing is to take my hip point, which is 8 inches, right? So I'm going ahead to do that. And after that, my crouch line or my flap, all right? So to get the flap, you have to take your measurements, okay? And then divide by 2, okay? And then also minus 2, all right? To get that, okay? So that's our full length, okay? And also went ahead to mark out the hem allowance, all right? So like I said, okay, I have a video of a palazzo video where I gave details on how to measure the flap, okay, or the crouch. So check that out, all right? It's going to be helpful for you while doing this, okay? So I went ahead to rule out these lines to make them more visible, right? So the next thing I'm going to be doing is shaping, okay? So at the top, that's the waist point, I'll be taking 1 inch, okay, for my shaping. So I'm going to mark that out, 1 inch for my shaping, all right? Then at the bottom, I'll be taking 1.5 inch. This is because it will not be a free shot, okay? It will have some sort of fitting. If I wanted this to be free, I would have used 1 inch throughout, all right? So I'm going ahead to mark that out for my hem allowance points, all right? Okay, so do well to mark out, like connect the lines of the shaping lines together, all right? Okay, I didn't do that at the initial stage, okay? So just I'm marking out my waist. My round waist is 30 inches, okay, plus 1 inch that allowance, and then 3 inches for my zip allowance, okay? Now the extra allowances will be at the back, so I'm not going to add that up in front, okay? So my round waist is 30 divided by 4, 7.5, right? I hope you got that correctly. So what I'm doing right now is to make a connection, like I said, from my waist down to the hip, all right? So the shaping lines is going to diminish right at the hip, meaning the hip will have little to no space, okay? Just like going from 1 to 0, all right? So I'm extending the line from the end of my short to meet that at the hip, okay? You see that this short is going to have a form of fitting after I finish baking it, right? You should try this out and you see how nice and good it will turn out to be, right? So I'm going to mark this out properly so it will be more visible, right? So the next thing is to continue with our horizontal measurement. So I'm going to, on my hip line, my hip point, I'm going to mark out my hip, okay? It's 40 divided by 4, I have 10 inch. Remember I said no allowances at the front. So on my crouch line, I'll be dividing my round tie. My round tie is 25 divided by 4. I have, sorry, divided by 2, I have 3.5, okay? So I'm just going to mark that on my crouch line. And then I'm going to mark out the round tie, the down part of the round tie, that's my knee point. This point should be wherever you want your trouser to end, okay? That's where you're going to measure, wherever the line for your shorts is going to end, sorry. You're going to mark that out, all right? So that's what I just did. So the next thing is for us to make our connections, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just marking this out properly again so that it will be more visible, all right? Now remember we kept 3 inches allowance at the waist point for our zip, okay? Take notice of that point so that while cutting this out, you not cut out the zip allowance. Our zip for this short will be in front, all right? So I'm just going to use my curved rule to mark out my flap area, all right? Okay, that's the curve for my flap. That's the front curve. Okay, this is how it's going to look like, right? Then I'm going to make the connection from that end down to the bottom of the shirt. All right, for the full length of the shirt. Okay, if you intend making this into a trouser, you can still use the same style to the same pattern. Just you're going to add your ankle measurement and the ankle length for the trouser. Just same things, but for the shaping of the trouser at the edge, you take about 2 inches instead of 1.5. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to cut out from the white lines. All right. Take notice and remember we marked out 3 inch for our zip allowance. So I'm not going to forget that. Okay, I'm going to cut out at that point. All right. Okay, just look at what I'm doing at this point. Okay, seeing that. So I just cut out our zip allowance because we need to have that in front. Okay, that's the position for our zip. Our zip is going to sit in front. Okay, not by the side like our palazzo trouser. Right. Okay, so this is what we have. Right. That's what it's going to look like. These are zip allowance. Okay. So we're going to fold another piece for our back. All right. The next we want to get is our back part of our shirt. So I'm gonna ahead to fold another piece of, clothes. Yeah. So I'm just going to put this down properly. And then place the front piece in front. Okay. Ensure while placing this in front, you have enough space, okay, around the crotch area, because like I said earlier, our allowances will come at the back, okay. So you need to add allowances to the back. So ensure while folding this, you have enough space in front of where the crouch position is. All right, okay. So the next we are going to do is to impute our allowances, okay. So at the waist point, okay, while taking that of the waist point, ensure you fold in the zip allowance. All right, you don't want this to be excess, fold it in. If you have a pin that down. Okay, so at the waist point we'll be taking about 2 inches. All right, so I'm just going to extend the line from the waist out. Okay, so they will all be at exactly the same point. You don't want the lines one to be higher than the other or lower than the other. Okay, you want your positions to fall in exactly at the same point. Okay, so that's just what I'm doing now, just bringing out the lines. All right, do the same thing for your sew to be it to come out good. Okay, so at the waist point I'm going to come out by 2 inch. All right, that's the allowance for the back, 2 inch. All right, I'll do the same thing too for the hip point, come out by 2 inch. Okay, but for the flap area I'll be coming out by 3 inches. All right, this so that our flap can sit well, to be well positioned. Okay, then at the knee point I'm also going to come out by 2 inches. Okay, so take notice, apart from the crouch area we came out by 2 inches at other points. All right, so I'm just going to make connections for this. Right, I'll be connecting this. Okay, connecting them. Okay, cutting out the back part is just simply following the pattern, the front pattern to cut it out. Okay, we're just adding allowances at the back, making little adjustments at the back. Okay, so that when we wear the shirts, it will be comfortable, right? So I'm just marking this out, joining my lines together. Okay, so I'm just going to make a connection for the flap. Okay, so this is it. Like I said, just extend the lines out so that your measurements for the back will be exactly on the same point as that of the front area. Okay, and if you're new to the channel, please do well to subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you can notify whenever I post a video. Okay, I ensure to post a video at least once in a week. Okay, so there are always videos. Okay, and my videos are always fun. It's something you can do, very quite easy for you to do. All right, so I'm just going to do this out properly so that the chalk will be more visible. Okay, so there we have it. Now at the top part of our shirt, okay, that's for the waist area. For the back, we're going to increase the length of the back by 1 inch. Okay, So we're coming up by 1 inch, then from the front, we'll come down by 1 inch. All right. This is so that it will sit comfortably on our waist. Um there will be no discomfort while wearing this, to sit comfortably on our waist. Okay, so from that end we're going to make our connection down to the other edge. Okay, it's more like from 1 inches to nothing at the other point, right? You can decide to step up the back by 2 inches and then leave the front part the way it is. Okay, but for me, I'll be stepping up the back by one and then stepping down the front by 1 inch. Okay, I hope you understand this. Okay, if you don't, just watch what I'm doing. Okay, so I just increased the back by one. Okay, and then decreased the front by 1 inches. Okay, this to have a form of balance. All right, I'm actually working with a fabric that's actually quite colorful, so I hope you can see the chalks, the marks I'm making on this. Right, so there we have it. So the next thing to do is just to cut this out. Okay, everything looks nice and easy. Okay, so I hope you found this tutorial quite easy to work with. All right, because I had fun while making this, so I hope you find it easy to work with. All right, so I'm just going to cut out. Okay, cut through the white lines. Okay, so we've done finished cutting that of the back. So just going to step down for the from at the front area. Sorry about that. So I'm just stepping down, cutting it out, right? So that is all for the cutting of the shorts, right? You can decide to work on your short this way, but I'll be putting side pockets for this. We'll be working with the side pocket. So the next thing I want to do is to cut out my pockets. Okay, so I'm just going to right now measuring out my dart position. Okay, because of the darts in this. Remember, we took 1 inch for dart allowance. Okay, and my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 inches divided by 2, 3.5 plus half an inch for stitching allowance. So I just went ahead to mark that out. So I'm going to make a notch here right now. All right. Okay, so I'm just making a notch for the front and the back so I know where to stitch down my dart. All right, so go ahead and do that to your fabric. Okay, like I said, we'll be fixing pockets for this. All right, so I'm just going to mark the width of the pocket I want. Okay, I'm going to mark out the width for my pocket and then mark out the depth of my pocket. Right, that's what I'll be doing next. Okay, so I went ahead to place a piece of the front. Okay, one of the front piece rather. So I'm marking out 2.5 inch for the width of my pocket. Okay, I'm working with 2.5 inch, right, for my pocket width. Okay, you can decide to use 2.5 or 3 inches. All right, whatever works for you. Okay, so I decided to use 3 inch for this instead. Okay, and I'm working with a depth of 6.5 inch. All right, this is because I want to be able to pass my hand through it. All right, so I went ahead to do that. Okay, so I just made a line from my 3 inches to my 6.5 inch. Okay, so I'm just making a notch at that point. Okay, that's for my pockets. All right, okay, sorry, this was out of frame while I was doing this at this point. Okay, so I was just making notches. Yeah, so the next thing is to cut out our pockets. Okay, So I'll be working with this fabric here. Just went ahead to fold it into four. Okay, so I just needed like 4 pieces of this. Okay, the best way to know the length of the pocket you're working with is to place the front part of your trouser on it. All right, so you don't want this to be too long, okay? I don't want this to exceed the waistline, all right? So that while joining this not have any issue, okay? So my pocket will be sitting, the length of my pocket will be in between my hip and my crouch, okay? So exactly 9 inches. That's what I want to work with, all right? So the more like the depth of my pocket is 9 inches. All right. So I have this 4 piece I've already cut out. Okay. So this is what I'll be using for my pocket. All right. So I'm just going to make the same marks on my trousers or my shorts, sorry, on the pockets too. Okay. So I'll know the positions they were going to sit in. Okay. You don't want to fix your pocket wrongly. All right. So I'm going to mark this out. Okay, mark this out. That's the 3 inch at the top, okay, and then the 6.5 inch at the bottom. All right, so that when I'm stitching this down, there'll be no issue whatsoever. Okay, so I went ahead to make notches on all 4 pieces of my pockets. The 4 pieces I want to be using for my pocket, I went ahead to make notches on them. All right, so I'm just going to do the same thing I did for the shorts. Okay, just made a line and joining them together. This is because I'll be ironing gum stains to the pieces. All right, just to 2 pieces of it. So I'll be ironing gum stains to 2 pieces of it. All right, so that's why I'm just making that mark there, so I'll know where to iron my gum stains to. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to I'll go ahead to make darts. All right, so I'm just marking this out. Okay, just do that so you know where to place your gum stains. All right, okay, so I'm just trying to arrange the piece that's for each one. All right, like I said, you don't want to fix your pockets in the wrong places. It can be quite frustrating for you to sew and lose. Okay, so it's better you make the arrangements properly. Okay, so I've gone ahead to make my darts. Okay, so this is what I mean. Okay, so I've gone ahead to iron gum stains to the position for my pockets. I also went ahead to iron gum stains to where I'll be fixing my zip. That's my zip allowance. All right, so this is what it looks like. Okay, this is the other piece. Okay, this is what we have after I did that. All right, I've ironed gum stains to them. Now I ironed gum stain just to 2 pieces of my pocket. Okay, so just watch closely and you see how I'm going to fix this. Okay, this is another method you can use to join your pocket. You can try to just cut them out and then join it. Okay, but I want to use gum stains, another method of joining pockets. Okay, so I'm going to place a piece of this, the one for each one. Okay, so I'm just marking out the lines where I'm going to sew through. All right, so I'm going to sew at that point, sew at this point too. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, after I've sewed it down. Okay, I also went ahead to iron it out. Okay, gave it a good press, so we're already having a pocket feel. Okay, so the next thing is to attach the other piece of our pocket to it. All right, so I'm just going to place this down. Okay, ensure the ends are meeting at equal parts. Okay, ensure the ends are meeting. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. All right, let me just turn this over so you see it properly. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so I'm just going to go over to the machines. We're going to stitch it down. Okay, stitch it down right there, and then place this equally, stitch down to the other end. All right, I'll do the same for the other piece. Okay, so we have this here. We already have our pocket formed out. Right, this is what it looks like on the inside. We have our pocket already. Okay, so this is the other piece. This is what it looks like. Okay, we have our pocket already. So the next we are going to be doing is attaching the front to the back. Okay, so bringing our back piece. Okay, I already placed my front piece. Okay, this will be placed front facing front. Okay, this, remember I said the zip will not be at the side. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch down from the beginning to the end. I'll do the same to the other piece. Right, so this is what it looks like. Okay, I also went ahead to iron it out. So the next thing is to be attaching our front piece to front piece. Okay, so I'm going to place this the same way, front facing front. Okay, so that I can sew this out. All right, so we're going to be placing the front facing front this way. Okay, I hope you can see clearly. I was trying to position this in the view of the camera. Okay, just trying to get a good angle. So this is what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to be stitching it down. All right, stitching the front together from that point, from this point down to the other point. Okay, just watch. I'm making a line there. I'm going to be stitching it down with half an inch. Okay, so I'm stitching it down from there, from the flap area of the front, both front parts, straight to the top side. Okay, so I'll just stitch it down right there. All right, so this is what it looks like after I stitched it down. Okay, this is the front part of our material. It looks like this. Okay, stitched it down. So the next thing we want to do is to do our body measurements. All right, remember we added allowances to this. Okay, while cutting it out. So we're going to fold in our zip allowance area. You don't want to complicate matters by adding that to your measurement. All right, so our measurement is going to start from there. All right, after folding in zip allowance. So we're working with a round waist of 30 divided by 2, 15. So I went ahead to mark it out there. The next thing is our round hip. Okay, so I'm just going to mark out my hip point, which is 8 inches. All right, I went ahead to check it out, right, to ensure I have accurate measurement. Okay, so I'm working with a round hip of 40 inches divided by 2. I have 20, so I went ahead to mark out 20 at that point. So I'm just going to join this together. Okay, make a line there, right, and then make another line from that point down to the flap area. All right, so I'm going to be stitching down like that, down to the end, to the waist. So we have it like this. This is the allowance I was talking about. This is what it looks like from the inside. Okay, and the back. Okay, so the next we want to do is to join our crouch together. Okay, our crouch, our flap. Okay, so we're going to position them together, the front and back crouch together, and ensure that they're meeting at exactly the same point before stitching down. Right, so this is what it looks like. So the next is to hem. Okay, you can decide to fold this in once and then fold again. Okay, to hem the short. But for me, I'll be using a hemming gum. Okay, if you've seen my palazzo video, okay, I also did this. Okay, I actually find it easier to do. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this in, place it in, and then iron it out. Very easy to do. All right, so this is what we have. Okay, after I did that, all right, that's what it looks like. Very neat, right? So the next thing is to fix our zip. Now, our zip is going to come before the band. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you, like, showing you the details of how to do this. All right, so I'm just spinning this down. Okay, the first thing was to fix the zip on one part of it. I just went ahead to pin this down, okay, on the position I showed earlier, so I can stitch it down. All right, so just watch what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch it down. Okay, stitch it down that way. Okay, this is so that we can have our fly cover, our flap cover for our zip. Okay, fly cover. Okay, thank you. So we're going to cover it down, doing it down. Okay, so that's why I'm giving you details on how to do this. All right, so we can have this. All right, so fix that zip for one point. Okay, so for the next part of this, instead of doing the same thing like sewing at the edge like we did for this one, sorry, I'll just fold this into 2 instead. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to fold this into 2 instead. So I'll be using like half of it, all right, to stitch it down. Okay, so that's the position I'll be placing the zip. Okay, so I'll go ahead to pin this down. I don't want this to be moving about while I'm stitching, while I'm sewing or stitching this down. Okay, so I'm just going to pin this down. Okay, to keep our zip in place before stitching this down, right? Please just watch closely so you see how I did the fly cover, okay? Right, so I'm going to sew this down now. Okay, so this is what we have. Our zip is looking like this, okay? So I just went ahead to fold the remaining part to cover our zip, okay? So from the end of the zip position, I'm going to make a line, like a curved line, all right? From there, I'm going to make a curved line down to the top part of the zip, okay? Okay, so I'm doing this just for one part of it, and I'm going to sew all through that end, all right? Okay, remember we folded it just into, folded one part of it just into two. So the remaining half of it is what we use to cover the zip. Okay, so from the edge I'm making, I made a line, okay, and I'm going to sew from that edge I made, the line I made from the edge of the zip, yeah, down to the top part of our zip. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch this down, okay, and show you what it looks like. This is to make our fly cover. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch it down. Right, ensure while stitching this down your this thing is open, okay, so you don't want to stitch both the front and back together. All right, so there we have it. This is what it looks like. Okay, so we have it like this. Okay, this is our fly cover. So this is how to fix the front zip with a fly cover. All right, so the next thing we are going to do is attaching our band. All right, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so we can open this up. It's not hanging anywhere. All right, so next we're going to do is to fix our band, attach our band to this. Okay, that's like the last part of this. Okay, I've gone ahead to cut out a band of about 4 inch. Okay, I also went ahead to iron my I'm actually using hairstay for this. I went ahead to iron my hairstay to it. Okay, now my round waist is 30, okay, but I decided to cut this band with extra 3 inches. So I have about 33 inches long band and then 4 inches wide, okay, because I want this to be, the band to be 2 inches by the time I finish folding it up, all right, because I want to use a part of the band to wrap up my zip, okay, just like this, okay, this is what it's going to look like, all right, and then wrap up my zip and fold it to the front when I'm sewing for the front, okay. We are going to sew for the back first, okay. So I'm just going to sew it round and show you. So I've gone ahead to sew this out, okay. So to fold this in front, like I said, there's the remaining parts of my band there, so I'm going to fold it up, use it to cover my zip, okay, then fold it down to sew. Right, this is what I'm going to do, right, and then fold it down. You just have to be careful with this. Fold it and then fold it in, okay, and then stitch it down. This is what it should look like. Fold it and then fold and then sew it down. All right, so I'm going to do this for the other. When I get to the other end, I'm also going to repeat this there. All right, okay, so there we have it. This is what it looks like. This is the inside of our shirt. Okay, fix the band. Also went ahead to attach my hook to the top part of my shirt, sorry. So this is what it looks like. We have it like this, okay. So let me know in the comment section if you found this video easy, okay, and if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do well to subscribe, okay. Thank you for your time. Bye.